Hey everybody, how's everybody doing? Welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to cover a story about this lady, Kouri Richins. I don't know if people have heard about her. I did back, especially it was late pandemic when everybody's starting to go back. So she's a mother of three, lives in Utah, beautiful house, beautiful family, great husband. She was just a screw up. She wasn't good at anything she did. All her ventures were failures, her business were failures, but her husband, took care of her, went to work every day. I would dream for a guy like that. Anyways, he was suspecting that she was poisoning him. So he had changed, life insurance policies, with telling parents and everything. Anyways, get down to it. She makes him a drink one night, the Moscow Mule. They call it the Moscow Mule Killer. And he died. So next thing you know, she's doing after he's died and they're doing the funeral and stuff. Apparently, when he passed away, she was digging through his stuff, trying to find life insurance policies, money, and the sisters and everything were hey, they were kind of suspected something was up. Then she goes online. She wrote a book. A book about his death. And I think it was the book that initially got her caught. And yeah, she has life insurance policies and just all kinds of stuff. So let's look into this. Let's see this. I know I think they have started court proceedings now. So yeah, let's catch up and see what's going on with Miss Kouri Richins, the Moscow Mule Killer. Yeah, she put fentanyl in his drink and killed him. Nice lady, right? I would die for a husband like that. I can't even make ends meet. Live in a crappy apartment in a crappy neighborhood. I can't even date a guy right now. I've gained so much weight from being off work in the pandemic and health issues that I don't even want a guy to see me naked. And this lady had a beautiful husband, beautiful man. I wish. Anyways, let's get into it. Stop bitching about my sad life. But my life isn't as bad as hers.
Welcome to Vinny Politan Investigates. I'm Ted Rollins, filling in for Vinny. The subject of our investigation is a Utah mom accused of poisoning her husband in March of 2022. It's a case about money, murder, and a Moscow Mule. Her name is Kouri Richins. Here is her story. From the outside, Eric and Kouri Richins seemed to be living the perfect life. The attractive young couple had 3 boys and were doing very well financially, living just outside of Park City, Utah. Traveled, had a beautiful home, and spent a lot of time with their boys. But beneath the exterior, something else was happening. Family members say Eric suspected that his wife was trying to kill him, giving him food and drinks laced with poison. Eric was so suspicious that he changed his life insurance and will, giving everything to his sister, who he trusted to take care of the kids. Well, prosecutors say that Eric was right. He died in March of 2022, a victim of fentanyl poisoning. And after the release of Kouri Richins' children's book on grief, she was arrested and charged with her husband's murder. We take a closer look at the death of Eric Richins and the actions of his accused killer wife, Kouri. Around 3 a.m. on March 4th, 2022, Kouri Richins called 911. She was reporting that her husband, Eric, was in bed and he was cold to the touch. Here's what she told officers when they arrived on scene.
Imagine being so brave. I don't know how you can, a stranger, okay, I could get more, because they can't really connect you to a stranger. But the person you live with, and they already suspect you of poisoning them. I'm pretty sure he must have mentioned to her, during a heated argument, I know you're trying to kill me, and then to proceed to go through it, and just, I don't understand when these women or men do this, when they kill their spouses, and there's kids involved, because now they've lost both parents. Both parents are gone. And then not on top of both parents being gone, but to know that one of them killed for greed, for money, that they probably would have got a nice little chunk of change, but since they're so horrible at money already, how much of it do you think they would really last? I mean, and the best part is her doing a book. Like, how cocky can you be? Like, this lady, I'm telling you, balls to the walls. Like, this, anyways. This frustrates me because I live such a crappy life and I'm so poor. And it's like, I wish I had a husband and a beautiful house. Like, sure, you want to marry me? Give me a beautiful house. I'll pop out 1,000,000 babies. Like, I don't care. I'll play Betty Crocker in the kitchen, be a Susie homemaker, and then a hoe in the sheets, whatever you want.
What on the early morning of Eric Richins' death did the defendant report had happened that evening?
She stated that the last time that she saw Eric alive was between 9:30 and 9:45 p.m. She stated that before going to bed, they had had a drink together to celebrate closing on a house for her business. She said that they got in bed between 9:30 and 9:45, and that shortly after getting into bed, one of the children had a nightmare, and that the defendant got out of bed and went to be with that child in their bedroom and slept in that bedroom until 3 a.m. or around 3 a.m. when she woke. She stated she returned to her own bedroom, got into bed, and felt that Eric was cold to the touch. She stated that she turned the light on, saw that he wasn't breathing and that he didn't look normal, and that she then called 911.
That was Kouri's story to officers, but prosecutors say there's more to all of this. Which brings us to the first question of our hour, and that is, what happened to Eric Richins? Let's bring in our guest for the hour, discussing it with us, attorney representing the Eric Richins family, Greg Scortis, and former homicide detective and host of the podcast, The Interview Room with Chris McDonough, Mr. Chris McDonough. Welcome to both of you. This case has gotten the attention of a lot of people, obviously. Chris, from your standpoint, from what we know now, talk to us about the strength of the case against this mother and wife, Kouri Richins.
Yeah, Ted, so, the evidence that's before the court at this particular point, obviously before it gets before a jury, in my opinion, just, doing a cursory review of this case, it looks pretty damaging for the defendant here, because you're going to have various witnesses that are going to testify in relationship to not only financial motivation, there could be some infidelity that's at play here, and of course, the narcotics where those were purchased. So I think initially taking a look at this when they present it before a jury, it could be very difficult for the defense.
Greg, from the family's perspective,
that just goes to show you the drug epidemic that goes on in United States and Canada. Like here in Canada, it's pretty bad too. Like I could just walk outside and probably get drugs right now. But for a house mother of 3 living in Utah, up in small little town, and she can get fentanyl. Just fentanyl to murder her husband. That's how easy it was for her to acquire. And that just shows what a rampant drug problem we have, all across. And it's being imported from China. Thanks, China. And yeah, they're just, it's so sad. It's just so sad to see. Anyways.
Is it the feeling that from the family that he knew that, I know he suspected a little bit that she maybe poisoned him with that sandwich, and he did change the life insurance. Did he articulate that to family members, and did they have a sort of a breakup? Were they going to split?
Yeah, it appears that they were, Ted, and it also appears that he notified family members. He went so far to say, if something happens to me, you should have Kouri investigated. I mean, he really did say that. He found out that she had manipulated some of his financial assets. She had created such that had he died, instead of divorced her, she would make a lot more money pursuant to their the prenuptial agreement, pursuant to his buy-sell agreement with his partner. She had done some things without his knowledge with respect to his life insurance policy. And she did a lot of things immediately after his death that were inconsistent with a grieving widow and consistent with someone who was trying to collect as much money as possible. It's also clear that he was consulting at least with a family law attorney. He was uncomfortable with the way the relationship was going. There had been at least one prior, we believe there were actually two prior homicide attempts. And I think that Kouri could see the writing on the wall and realize that she had to do something.
Well, there was the sandwich. What was the other prior homicide attempt?
They'd taken a trip overseas, and he believed he got very sick during that trip and thought that he'd been poisoned. I think they were in Greece.
Detective O'Driscoll testified at the pretrial hearing that Kouri Richins' story about giving Eric CPR, that's what she said. I've been giving him CPR. Well, law enforcement didn't buy it. Take a listen.
Investigators found text messages between the defendant and her best friend that was her explanation to her friend that she conducted CPR on Eric prior to EMS arrival.
And do those text messages read, "I pumped so damn hard, so hard, screaming at him to come back to life"?
Yes.
Where's the tears? I don't see no tears.
You testified earlier, Detective, that EMS responded. Have you interviewed the first EMS responder?
Yes, I have.
What observations did that EMS responder make?
They told me that when they arrived, they began CPR compressions on Eric, and that upon beginning those compressions, Eric began to foam at the mouth. He stated that that observation indicated that CPR was not likely conducted before he arrived.
Chris McDonough, how important is things like that, little inconsistencies? Is this jury, once this jury gets this trial, you have, a little lie here and there, they can really add up and can turn a jury.
She really making sure he wasn't coming back.
And then, it's just picture a gigantic puzzle, and every one of those inconsistencies, if they, do turn out to be, false, then that's just another piece of the puzzle that comes together. And something like that, the autopsy is going to show very quickly whether or not that could have even been something in play.
Greg, they seem to really have it all. They had the family, they had money coming in. I know there was some financial difficulties, some decisions they made with, that Kouri made with her rehabbing houses, et cetera. But from the family's perspective, and I'm talking about Eric's family, during their marriage, what did they think of Kouri? Was there always a red flag, or did this hit them
How much money is too much money?
hard when the reality started to sink in?
I think both, Ted. I think that there were always red flags, but of course it always hits hard when it actually happens. There were some signs that she was manipulating the family's finances. There were some signs that she was struggling with her own finances. Eric had a very successful business. He had a very successful business partner, and they were doing very well in his construction business. She was starting a sort of a fledgling real estate, like you say, flipping business, was doing very poorly at it, and had gotten herself upside down with some hard money lenders. She was really getting in trouble with that. Eric wasn't aware of some of her financial problems, and she needed to find a way. At least I think that the state's theory of the case is that she needed to find a way to get out of her financial problems.
During the investigation into Eric's death, Kouri Richins.
Okay, I can see if you're bad at something. Great. But you have 3 kids with the man. You think you could have went to him and said, "Honey, look, I screwed up. I thought I knew what I was doing. I got in over my head." I'm sure she did a few little tears. And, did the best she could. Like, I'm pretty sure he would have forgiven her. And I'm pretty sure he would have helped her out. And she could have went and claimed bankruptcy. She still had her husband to lean on. She could have bounced back. Like, there were so many more options other than to murder your husband. Like ruin your family over money. And you're horrible at money, obviously. So the little bit that you were gonna get from his life insurance, I bet you by the time she paid off her debts and squandered it away on buying a new car and some clothes for the kids, I'm pretty sure she would have ran out of that money quick. And then what are you stuck with? 3 kids, no husband, debt coming out of your ass. Like, I don't get these women. Like I would have went to him, and if he's doing successful, obviously he knows what he's doing and he knows business. So I would have went to him and said, I need help. Like, what can I do to fix my situation? I don't want it to screw you up. But no, I'll murder him. I'll get life insurance. I'll spend whatever little bit I get. Unbelievable.
Richins made some statements to detectives that Eric was not a drug user. Changed your mind on that, but take a listen.
In several statements made by the defendant throughout the investigation, there have been at least 10 times that she has said that Eric does not use illicit substances and did not use illicit substances.
And just to be clear, other than
Other than the THC gummies, correct.
on the night Eric Richins died, did investigators search the Richins home?
Yes.
Did they find any illicit drugs?
No.
Did they find any paraphernalia or packaging or other evidence of illicit drugs?
No.
Did they find fentanyl anywhere in the home?
Only that which was in Eric's body.
Sorry. Okay.
Greg, is the family ready for what's to come at trial, especially if there's accusations that, Eric was using drugs and doing this and doing that? Are they fully prepared to the torture that they're about to endure during this trial, having to listen to people assail his character?
Yes, and Ted, they've already had a very good preview of that from what Kouri and her family are saying about Eric. He wasn't a drug user. He was an outdoorsman. He was a coach to his kids with their soccer and baseball. He took very good care of himself. He was a healthy young man. He was vibrant, and he wouldn't have had any reason to use fentanyl or anything like that. And there was no history of it, just none whatsoever. But yes, I mean, there are always going to be those allegations made, untrue as they are. And the family fully expects that because they've already had, like I say, a very good snapshot of that.
Yeah, and we see it in every trial. It's heartbreaking for those family members looking for justice, and they have to endure the character assassinations that come with a trial, typically with a defense. We're going to get a break in. Thanks, Greg, for your time. Appreciate it. I know the family's going through a lot. Chris McDonough's is going to stay with us. Coming up next, where did these drugs actually come from?
The defendant reached out to her again by text or call and said that she wanted some more fentanyl that was stronger than the previous batch.
Everybody says I went to the wrong crowd, but I think I was the wrong crowd. Nobody in this world loves you like your parents.
When he said to me, when you be close, I killed my parents and had a party.
I couldn't get out of my head. I couldn't.
Background real quick.
So, when they were in Greece, that's when she tried to poison him the first time. I wonder if she did it slowly, like little bits. I don't understand how you can't kill him the first time with fentanyl. It's like the most dangerous drug. Like, and how'd you get it in Greece? Like, how did you bring it? Like, I'd be petrified to bring something in the airport. I remember one time I brought some pills across. I put them, they weren't subscribed to me. They were like a couple of Percocets. But at the time I had a bad drug problem. And when I was younger, I used to like have a bad drug problem. So I was going to Detroit. Yes, I was going to Detroit. And so I had the bright idea. I'm just trying to find like aspirin, like an aspirin bottle, or like, Tylenol, all that kind of stuff. I was trying to find the right shape. So what I was only going for a couple of days. So I bought like a bottle of 100 so I could sneak in at least 20 perks because they were like the same size and like the same color, and I put them inside the bottle, and that's what I did. That's how I got mine across. But man, and I went right after the Boston bombing, so like they pulled me aside, like they were checking everybody, and I never really had a problem going through. They kind of just like letting me go through. But this time they pulled me aside, and I'm such an idiot too. So they were checking everybody's phone. Like before, I didn't know. Now you can like say no, that's against. You know what I mean? But they went through my phone, my text messages, and I remember I took a bus across. I was leaving Canada, going to Detroit, and I was not that far off, maybe like 3 hours away. So when I was going across, I thought I already got across, but we didn't. That's how dumb I am. So in my text message, I'm like, yeah, oh my God, I'm already in the States. It's so easy. I don't know what I was stressing about. And blah, 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 blah. And I can't wait to smoke a joint. And the worst part was like when I was going over, God, I was crazy when I was younger. Man, I did some stupid. I don't know how I'm alive. I don't know how I'm alive. I met somebody on a dating app, and because they bought my ticket and sent me money to go gambling in Detroit, I was like, hell yeah, let's go. And I could have been a murdered victim. Like, Craigslist killer, a Tinder dater, a POF. Like, how many people have died on dating sites? Like, quite a few. It's, that was pretty ballsy. But yeah, I went and gambled. Actually, it was funny because I suck at. I don't know. I never understood gambling. I don't get it. I can't spend money and like put it in a slot and watch it go away, disappear. And this guy, he was just like spending it. Like, he would give me $100 every time. So finally, I just like dick off somewhere. I take off for like half hour, and then I come back and I'm like, oh, I lost it. Man, I went home with like $1,000 US, and our dollars shite. So it was like more than 1,000. It came to like 1,300 or something. It was great. I was like so happy. Yeah, at first I was spending the money. I was gambling, but I kept losing, and I was like, this sucks. Like, I just started pocketing the money. Believe it or not, that was a fun trip. I probably would have died, but I honestly, I had a really good time. Would I do it again? No. Would I recommend it? Hell no. Nobody did what I did. I'm lucky I'm alive. I'm not even joking. I don't know what this was because I pay not to have commercials, and they're putting commercials inside. Court TV, you're smart.
Dental, Your Honor. That is someone who wants Eric dead, and the person who benefited the most from Eric being dead is the defendant.
Prosecutors say that Kouri Richins had the most to gain from Eric Richins' death, so she spiked a Moscow Mule and sent him off to die in his sleep. The medical examiner's findings after Eric's autopsy seemed to confirm some of the prosecution's theory. The document reads, it was determined that in April 2022 that Eric Richins died from an overdose of fentanyl. The level of fentanyl in Eric's system was 5 times the lethal dose.
Whoa.
The fentanyl in Eric's system was illicit fentanyl, not medical grade fentanyl. So that brings us to the next question. Where did these drugs come from? They didn't come from an hospital. They came from the streets. Let's bring in our guests. Retired DEA Special Agent Ted Golden is with us, and former homicide detective Chris McDonough still with us. Ted, good to see you. Thanks for joining us. A housewife in Utah gets her hands on fentanyl, and we have a feeling of where this came from the investigation. But how prevalent is fentanyl now in this country and accessible?
It is outrageously accessible and available almost any place in the continental United States and literally all over the world.
Canada too.
Just to give you a little background real quick, we first encountered fentanyl back in the 90s being used, or rather, from dumpster divers in North Carolina when they would dive into dumpsters and chew the fentanyl patches that had been placed on terminally ill patients to ease their pain. And these guys dived in the dumpster, they chewed it, and and they died in the dumpster, literally. Fentanyl is a horse tranquilizer, and carfentanil is a elephant tranquilizer. It's intended to accomplish surgeries on large animals. And unfortunately, the Chinese have gotten their own recipe, and it is so prevalent now, it's almost as prevalent as cocaine is.
And Chris, this is something, you don't think.
There's one that I got drugged at a club one time. Well, this is a horrible story. I don't hide my past. I'm straight up. I'm honest with people. If there's anything I can tell you, and like, I'm a recovering. I've been clean for like over 15 years now, but not GHB. There is another one. Oh my God. Can't believe I'm blanking out. But it was just horse tranquilizer. But there was another name, like there was another club name, like a street name for it. I can't think of it right now. That's why you don't do heavy drugs. Anyways, I used to be a big coke addict. Like cocaine was my thing, and this is like a time too, like crack was rampant. But I didn't ever get crack because, like, you smoke it, it's gone. The other stuff, you hold on that for a while throughout the night, especially if you're like a high-me like I was. I never shared. I always had a bag on me. But anyways, to the point. Yeah, I went to an after-hours club, and I've been up like 2 days. Brain's not straight. And I'm at this after-hours club, and we were jibbling dabbling with GHB, like liquid. But it was like pure form. It was good. It wasn't like the garbage you have. It wasn't like date rape stuff. Like, it was stuff like you were like at the club, like you would dance for hours. But yeah, then somebody slipped me something else. It was horrible. I can't believe I forget the name. I know once I get off this, I'll totally remember, and I'll be like, ah. Anyways, that stuff, the most dangerous stuff. I woke up and I don't even remember how I ended up in the laneway, but I was in a club, and all I remember my friends bringing me back into the club, and then the next day, like, I don't know what happened to me. I'm not going to say, and I don't ever want to think about it. I did go to the doctor to get myself checked, but I know something good didn't happen to me that night. And that was another reason why I was like, what are you waiting for, till you die? So I went and got clean. Not right after, but it took me a while. A couple of rehabs, a couple of stints, a couple more visits to jail. Yeah, it was a crazy life when I was younger. But yeah, like, it's so rampant right now. It's crazy. But that's an elephant tranquilizer and horse tranquilizer. That is crazy. Because I remember I had that horse tranquilizer. Or maybe it was cat tranquilizer. God, it was some kind of tranquilizer for an animal. And it was just singular. And that thing, like, knocked me out. Like, I am missing, like, a few hours. Woke up in a laneway in garbage. Like, just imagine, like, a downtown. I'm from Toronto. Toronto's like a little mini New York. And we have laneways with rats and garbage. And, like, imagine being, like, and someone just finding you. And, like, I'm not going to say the state of my clothes and how I was dressed and what was left on me, but just to think, I don't know how long I was lying out by those dumpsters in an alleyway behind a club. And it's like the downtown district, so there's tons of clubs. It was crazy. It was crazy. Anyways, I'm babbling on. Let's get back to this.
Think of a person like Kouri Richins with kids in the house and the business in the Utah, getting her hands on this. I know that you're out in that area. What's your take on the fact that for her to get these drugs seemed to be pretty easy?
Yeah.
Yeah, and like Ted was just saying,
wasn't her first time either.
First of all, this drug in of itself is not only extremely dangerous, it only takes about 2 milligrams, which is about 10 to 15 salt, grains, and you're dead. you're dead. So it takes some sophistication to understand how to handle this stuff. I mean, officers today, one of the biggest fears on the street is an accidental, fentanyl intoxication and they OD. And so for a housewife to have access to this, they need to have some source that is familiar with handling as well as, gaining access to the drug. And then they have to kind of coach her about how to handle it, because she, or if allegedly, if she is, the perpetrator in this, she had to have some coaching from some sophistication from the street.
According to the state, Kouri Richins' housekeeper, who is being called CL in the documentation, told police that she, in fact, sold Kouri 15 to 30 pills on 2 different occasions in the months before Eric's death. Take a listen.
CL told us that approximately a week after delivering the first load of fentanyl, the defendant reached out to her again by text or call and said that she wanted some more fentanyl that was stronger than the previous batch. CL told us that the second time that she procured fentanyl for the defendant, she did not have a vehicle to drive on that date. She said that she reached out to a friend, acquaintance 3, and asked that he give her a ride to go purchase fentanyl. She said that he did pick her up, that they traveled from Heber City to the defendant's home in Francis, where, according to CL, the defendant had told her there was a check waiting under the mat at the defendant's home. She said that she checked under the mat and didn't find a check, and so she knocked on the defendant's door, and the defendant came to the door and wrote her a check from her business, from the defendant's business, for $1,300 for the purchase of the fentanyl.
Kouri shaking her head. No, that's not true. There's no jury there, Kouri. But the cameras were there, and I think that's a big part of all of this. A search warrant affidavit revealed some very interesting information about Kouri Richins' mother. In investigating Kouri's associates, it was discovered that in 2006, Richins' mother, Lisa Darden, was living with an adult female with whom she was having a romantic relationship. In April of that year, her romantic partner died unexpectedly. The autopsy on the female partner showed that her immediate cause of death was a drug poisoning from an overdose of Oxycontin. Further investigation showed that Lisa Darden had been named as a beneficiary in her partner's estate. Short time after. Chris, there's been speculation. I know the family is...
Wait, so she wanted stronger pills. And she already tried in Greece. So she got 30 pills. And she's like, no, I want something that's stronger. Like, didn't work. So she probably got some garbage. Maybe she probably just got Percocets or something. Or maybe she just got straight up aspirin. Who knows? Or Tylenol. Who knows? But 30 pills. And you don't need that much to kill someone. To OD? Yeah, I don't think you need 30 pills. I don't know. Now I gotta Google it. See, this is gonna drive me nuts because I don't want to know how many milligrams are in a pill. Anyways, watch this and I'll
not sure, but there is speculation that she might have had some help, and you talked about that. Do you think she could have pulled this off alone, or did she need some guidance from somebody?
Well, I think she had to have some type of education in relationship to the type of narcotic use, number one. Number two, I think some of the text messages, Ted, could be very damaging, where she's reaching out to this, potential lover involved in the circle at that time, and she's asking for, experience in relationship to how much drugs he has taken and what, and then of course you have the digital footprints that the police found in relationship to Google searches on, how much causes, fentanyl intoxication. So I think she could have pulled it off by herself, but I also think that other people were very aware of obviously providing the drugs, and perhaps post-homicide, knowing, that she's probably the number one person in the box.
Ted Golden, do you think that, do you believe the state that she had a couple run-throughs here that didn't work and she needed to up the dose in this scenario?
Quick fact. So patches release 12 micrograms, not milligrams, which is usually what's in a aspirin, or excuse me, milligrams, right? These are micro. So that's a lot. So they're not joking when they say like 15 grains of salt can kill you. So patches release 12 micrograms to 100 micrograms of fentanyl every hour. Then there's nasal spray, which contains 50 micrograms. Everything's micrograms because it's so powerful. To 400 micrograms. Whoa. Tablets now contain 100 micrograms to 800 micrograms. And then keeps going. There's lozenges. I know they have lollipops and stuff like that. I've had one. So lozenges contain, but it wasn't fentanyl. It was morphine, that other one they give you in the hospital. And it was from the hospital. So lozenges contain 200 micrograms to 1600 micrograms. That is crazy. Wow. I wonder how many times she tried with him. Sorry, I'm hearing banging downstairs. It's irritating me.
In all likelihood, unfortunately, when you're dealing with fentanyl, you don't know what the purity is.
Give me 1 second.
And it depends on what they've done. If they press it into a pill or if they're using the powdered form. You have to be very careful with handling it. It's so potent that our agents are hermetically sealing it so that it can't penetrate the packaging it's being transported in. And they've been instructed to use hazmat suits to handle it. So it is a very dangerous drug, and you have to know what you're doing, because if it comes in contact with your skin, it can be absorbed, and you'll start to trip right then. So unfortunately, it's used as a kick for cocaine, for heroin, and any other drug that you may want to ingest.
So she likely had to wear gloves. If she was crunching up this amount, she had to wear gloves before throwing it in the Moscow Mule.
Gloves and a mask, if she's smart.
Ah, wow. It's so hard to get your head around this life that she was leading as a mother and a wife and a business person, a person in this community in Utah, just outside of Park City, and then for her to go through all of this. That's the state's allegation, though. And that is exactly where they're going with this. Again, they're expecting this to go to trial next year, and it seems as though nothing is going to stop it. I'm Ted Rollins in for Vinnie Politan. We're going to keep digging for answers as the investigation.
Anyway, so it's not really going to get good till the trial going. That's just pretty much the gist of it. So I guess people are moving in downstairs, so I'm gonna have to stop this because I hear like a kid screaming, and I'm gonna lose my crap if there's a kid moving into my house, because I've been here like 7 years and it's just been only adults. Anyways, it's loud. I'm gonna have to wait till these clowns stop banging. I don't know if they're showing off the apartment or people got in the apartment downstairs, but oh, they're gonna love me. I've been here like 7 years, so I feel like I own this house. And pretty much like my rules are my rules. So like no slamming of the doors, make sure the front lawn's always kept clean. They're better, like I can't stand mess. I hate mess. So yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much on Kouri Richins right now. Yeah. Then she wrote like after he died, she wrote a children's book. And like I said again, like they said, she was just trying to cash in on money. Like before he was even like buried in the ground, she was like calling the insurance people. But then when it became a police investigation, you can't collect insurance until all police investigations are finalized. And there becomes a result, and they're the insurance company praying you did it. So yeah. Then she wrote a kid's book. To profit more off his death, which is insulting. Yeah, she's just a real piece of garbage, this lady. Like, I would die to have a husband like that. Anyways, I know we're only halfway through, but I really don't want to hear these guys with their opinion. I didn't watch it beforehand. That's my fault. I thought it just would have went through. Like, they were just going to give like a gist, but I don't want to hear your opinions and I'm trying to give out my own opinions. Just tell us the story. Get to the gist. Get to the heat. The drama. The drama. Anyways, love you guys. Like, subscribe, share, comment, and all that jazz. Anyways, love you guys. Thank you all for listening. I'll do a couple more videos up tonight. All right. So I'm just gonna wait till these people are done because they're irritating me. All right. Love you all.
Continues. I'm Ted Rollins filling in for Vinny, the subject.